Well, hello everyone. I want to welcome you to another episode of Soar with Ugonna. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, today's topic is titled Learning to Fly. Learning to fly. In other words, flight lessons. So, you can't talk about soaring if you have not learned to fly. So learning to fly is part of the basics of actually getting up there and soaring. Now we're going to look at the Bible passage in Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 11, and I read, "Like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions." I read it again. Like an eagle that stirs up its nest, that flutters over its young, spreading out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions. Stirring the nest is an action that the mother eagle takes when she wants to teach the baby eagles how to fly. Now, this happens especially if the young eagles are old enough to fly but show no inclination to do so. So what the mother eagle does is to stir up the nest, to make it so uncomfortable for the little ones so they can learn to make good use of their wings. So what this mother eagle does is very shocking, very, very shocking. She comes and she takes hold of the eagles, or rather the eaglets, and she flings them up. She flings them out of the nest, high up in the sky. And she takes them from their place of comfort and familiarity and throws them into this world unknown. Little do they know that if the mother doesn't take such a drastic step, the eagles would remain in the nest and their destiny would be truncated. They would not fulfill their destinies if they stayed in the nest, if they did not learn how to fly. Praise God. So in this season of soaring, it's imperative that you learn to fly. Hence, there is no way you can get up there if you cannot fly. And the first step in learning to fly is taking out that leap of faith. Spread your wings. Just spread your wings. So as the eagle begins to struggle in the air, and just before they hit the ground, the mother swoops beneath them. She catches them on her wings and bears them up. She will repeat the step until the eagles finally get it, until flying becomes them. This is exactly what God was referring to in Deuteronomy chapter 32 verse 11, where he says, like the eagle stirs up the nest, flutters over its young, spreads out its wings, catching them, bearing them on its pinions. Sometimes God will allow us go through circumstances that are uncomfortable. Sometimes he will allow us get pushed out of our place of comfort, out of our place of familiarity, just so we can get our wings, we can flex our wings, so we can grow a pair. That's exactly what God is doing with us. The mother eagle recognizes that if she leaves the eaglets in the nest, they will die. Any eagle that does not learn how to fly will die in the nest. Because when the storm comes, eagles are expected to soar above the storm. And any eagle who has not learned how to fly will get swept away by the storm. Praise the Lord. So when God allows us to go through stuff that challenges us, that makes us question, does God really love me? There are things you go through in life and you begin to wonder, does God really love me? Why am I going through this? Why am I going through this? Why is he allowing all these challenges to come my way? Why is he allowing all these trials to come my way? God is only preparing you for your greater purpose. He's only getting you ready to flex, to practice how to fly, to make good use of your wings. Because if that eagle does not fly, does not learn to fly, and does not soar, that eagle is not fulfilling purpose. It's your purpose that is at stake. When you have not exercised your wings, how can you receive, how can you do exploits when you don't have wings, when you can't fly? You have wings and you cannot fly. Can you imagine an eagle who has wings and cannot fly? That eagle is as good as a chicken. Might as well just stay on the ground. We're talking about soaring, we're talking about getting on your higher ground. You can't do that if you don't have two working pairs, if you don't have a pair of wings. And if you have not learned how to make good use of them, there's no way for you to get up there on your higher ground. That time that you felt abandoned and alone, God was teaching you to fly. The time your friends and loved ones turned their backs on you was another flight lesson, My question is, how are you doing in flight class? That's a good question. How are you doing in flight class? Are you exercising your wings? Are you perfecting your flight techniques? If you can't fly, you can't soar. So in our walk with God, He sometimes treats us like the mother eagle. He will throw us out of the nest so we can learn to fly. If He allows us to continue to stay in the nest, we will not fulfill purpose. Take for instance the story of Joseph. I am almost certain that if Joseph had stayed in his father's house, I very much doubt that he would have become a leader in Egypt. I don't know how that would have been possible, that they would have picked him as a leader, as a prime minister in Egypt, had he not been pushed out of his father's house. So sometimes we go through things like, what the Bible says, that all things work together for the good of those who love God. So the time that you were pushed out of the cliques was working for your good. The times that you were persecuted, that you were lied on, that you were cheated on, that was a flight lesson. You were getting prepared for your greater purpose. Praise the Lord. Do you feel lonely? Do you feel abandoned? Do you feel rejected and forsaken? Broken and wounded? You are simply learning how to fly. So remember, if you can't fly, you cannot get on your higher ground. Keep learning to fly, and your time of soaring will certainly come. Don't allow what you're going through impound you or keep you on the ground. Keep flexing your wings. Keep spreading them. It's one flight after the other, one flight at a time, and you'll be on your way to your higher ground, and you'll be ready to soar again. This has been Soar with Ugonna, and I hope to catch you again next week. Till then, keep soaring. Thank you. Bye-bye.